We have another case study. My friend here, Sunil, he's a master in business. In fact, as well as asking him what he's doing my VA, I actually want him to share a little bit more about what he does with Meetup because it's extraordinary. And I think it's worth him sharing that before we dive into what he's actually using VAs for in the business. Sunil, first of all, thank you so much for taking some time out here. Can you please explain the Meetup model because it really is unusual and extraordinary?
Sure, yeah. The Meetup system that I have is based on a platform called meetup.com. I don't own that platform, but I use that platform to create communities for my clients. And I use it myself to generate basically a very affordable sales pipeline, you could say, in very brutal transactional terms, that will feed or fill a webinar audience for you every week. So it's basically a system that puts people in front of you, online webinar, or even an in-person live event every week. And we can do that and cull people from as many as 24 cities in North America to bring people to one webinar per week. You can think of it as 24 ocean-going ships that go to different cities that bring people back to one webinar that you need every week. That's you leading it and converting into clients. So I've been developing the system for about 15 years and it's tested and works really well.
That's amazing. For those people who are not familiar with meetup.com, as you mentioned, it is a online platform where you can organize both online meetups and actually in-person meetups. I think it's actually designed for in-person, but then through COVID, a lot of people started using it for online gatherings as well. So that's the basic premise of what you do. And it sounds simple, but there's a lot of administrative and strategic work that goes into that. So let's go back to the VA part of this, first of all. Give me your experience of working with VAs in the past before you started working with us.
I've been working with VAs and admins since I started in 1991. We didn't have virtual admins back then, but I had admins. And then I had my admin, it still actually works with me, virtual admin, since about 2000. And then I started working with Krezza, who's your admin, I'm going to say about half a year ago, almost.
Yeah. Time flies. Yeah, it's been about 4 to 6 months, somewhere in that range.
I would say, to answer the question directly, your admins are well trained. My admins had to train them a little bit, and they were very competent people. I've never had a really incompetent, I've had 1 or 2 incompetent admins in the past who no longer work for me. And I hope that doesn't sound too brutal, but it's just the truth in terms of effectiveness, etc. And trainability and coachability. I think my experience with Krezza has been really positive from the start, from day one, which is very rare. And I would attribute that to your training, probably. Your training and your preparation and your selection of your staff. And Krezza, I think the distinctive quality is that she's very proactive. So a lot of things happen in magic. I call it magic, but of course, specifically what happens, she anticipates what I need. And sometimes I'm a pretty clear and specific kind of person when I give directives, but she can read between the lines and see what I really need and address it before I have to clarify, if that makes sense. And I find that extremely useful. As an entrepreneur, you should really specify tasks clearly, but sometimes you just can't. In the heat of the moment, things are going pretty fast. You need someone who's well trained, who can anticipate stuff like that. And then ongoingly think or learn to think more or less like you, although she can't be an entrepreneur exactly like you, but she can start to think like you and start anticipating, like I said, what my needs might be and being able to clarify that through communicating. So those are rare qualities.
A lot of people come to us and say, I want a great VA, I want a rock star VA. Yeah. And in my mind, what I'm saying is, are you a great client? because it's a two-way relationship, right?
Well said.
The quality of a VA's output is often, based on the input. So when you give clear instructions, clear directives, and you give them time to integrate into the business, you're going to get a better result, right? If you're expecting a VA to come on board next week and magically know your business, read your mind, read what you want, it doesn't work like that. So first of all, thank you for being an exceptional client in that regard. What are some of the tactical level things that she's actually doing? Can you give an example of a day-to-day? What does that interaction between you as a client and her as a VA kind of look like?
In my program, I have a done for you program with several clients, and I need statistics and data. I can fine tune and optimize the systems for them. And these are pretty critical systems because I take quite a lot of responsibility making sure that these people get high quality people showing up at their events because they are prospective clients. The systems rely on me making sure that I optimize it from time to time. And because they're done for you clients, we need data. So that data is from for each client, they have 24 communities in different cities. So they might have a Meetup community in New York, another one in Los Angeles, all feeding their webinars. So enough to analyze so I can optimize. So that's one thing that she does. The other thing is we have programs, both the Done For You program as well as the Done With You program, which are courses, which are 6 sessions over. And I do different variations. One is the Meetup system that I train people how to set up their own Meetup communities. And then I have another 6-session course that teaches people how to convert and sell. And I literally teach people how to do that in a hands-on manner. And there's a lot of handling. It's schoolwork. It's what I call it. I'm a principal of a school for business people. So I run mini MBA programs, you could call them. It's a class above school in the sense that these are professional people. They have expectations of quality. I have to follow through on requests. And so Krezza keeps track of a lot of the students, keeps track of what they need, anticipates their needs. And we have systems set up to anticipate the needs, make sure they get the information ahead of the syllabus requirements. So she does that as well. And she does another interesting thing, which she looks ahead to try to give me suggestions on how to optimize the system, which is good to know because I need that kind of feedback from someone actually using the system, not the designer, me, but someone actually using the system. So that's also very useful.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I hope I'm making sense.
Oh, no, absolutely. Hard to do, but if you could summarize the core impact, one core impact, obviously there's probably several, but one core impact that's most relevant for your relationship with Krezza or Krezza's relationship to your business, how would you summarize that?
I would summarize it in the word, it's my word, it's brain bandwidth / time. For most people, and it equates to money too, but really it's more about time. Most people at my level, it's more about having freedom of time because I'm moving up entrepreneurial and visionary ladders to wanting to write more books, have more time to create more stuff, to be more creative, which is really my bent, is to be more creative than to be administrative. And so Krezza really frees up a lot of my administrative part of my brain, which I'm fairly good at, but it's not really the thing I really want to do. This may sound strange, but I think visionaries and high-level entrepreneurs understand me when I say I need time to let the dog out. What letting the dog out sometimes means going down to the nearby town here, which is very sunny, lovely. It's close to the Bay Area. I can stare out to space and to some of the ocean-going ships that go by, and ideas start coming to me. And then I have time to go have an ice cream. Meanwhile, Krezza is handling a lot of my background stuff and also helping to project manage, administrate some of the other admins. So I don't have to do as much of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you were to put a measure to it, I think I've gained at least about 10 hours, probably more like 15 hours of time I can do that.
That's awesome. And just total coincidence, today I started reading or listening to a new book called Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. And it talks about that, right? When we can delegate that busy admin level work, right? It gives ourselves that time to think and go deeper in the work we're doing. It's not about doing more. It's not about writing more or a lot of activity. It's about, as entrepreneurs, as visionaries, as business owners, we have to sometimes engage the thinking capacity. And when we're busy doing stuff all day long, that capacity, at least for me, dissipates very quickly. And then you're left not doing any strategic level work in the business. So absolutely relate. And talking about books.
Well, I would go a step further and say it's not just strategic either, it's also philosophical. What's really important for your business, for your vision, for yourself as an entrepreneur, as a high-level entrepreneur? Where do you want to go in the next 10 years? That's not stuff that you can figure out in some linear fashion. You got to let your brain unwind a little bit to do that. That means you have to be unencumbered from your daily grind.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Thank you. Talk about books. I better get back to writing my book, which is what the purpose of this call today. So again, appreciate so much, Sunil. Thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing your story and your case study. And I'll be catching up with you real soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.